This is Dr. Mariah White, host of Your Life Matters. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Hey, this is Peggy Rojas, host of Viviendo una Vida en Balance here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you come back check out my show, Viviendo una Vida en Balance, where we talk about life hacks to live in balance, and this show is in Spanish. A new show comes out every Sunday, so don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode on Viviendo una Vida en Balance. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Everybody, it's No Filter Friday. Let me move that back a little bit. This is not so shiny today. I just moisturized. And I've got shines, folks. I've got shines. Anyway, let's try to mat that down a little bit, at least in the T-zone area. Anyway, it is No Filter Friday. And I'm having tea, of course. And I'm so tired this week. Oh, David Bobke's here. Thank you for coming, David Bobke. How does it sound? I switched headphones. Hopefully it sounds okay. Anyway. Sounding shiny too. Okay. I think sounding shiny is okay. Oh, all this moisture. Look at this moisture. Anyway, I am so, and Alexa's here. Hi, Alexa. I am so tired this week from shooting nights that I can't, this tea is so precious. I can't even afford to spill it. I have to drink it. It's one of my favorite teas. It's called Snarky tea. Drink Your Feelings is their log line as a tea company. I love it. And coincidentally, their cup kind of looks like the No Filter Friday cup that I made. A little bit. Shooting nights is brutal, y'all. It is really not. I don't know how people live their lives working night shifts. It's really, really strange to me. Any hoozles. We're gonna have a chat about Russell Simmons because this I saw that BuzzFeed, hang on, let me back that up. A girl that I'm Facebook friends with, Keisha, posted the BuzzFeed it's a video of BuzzFeed profile interviewing this woman who worked at Def Jam, and she says that she alleges that Russell Simmons raped her in his apartment. And it's a really interesting video. She has long since left music production, works in something a completely other different field now. Apparently she had issues with L.A. Reid as well, but she said Clive Davis was was so fantastic to work with. But anyway, that's besides the point. The point is that she did a video interview with BuzzFeed, and they sat down talk show style and talked about it. And she talked about how she got hired at Def Jam and how she went on to make a platinum record there, which was really. There's something wet back here. What is this? I am a mess. I'm an absolute mess. I don't even know what's on the back of my robe. Come on, robe. Work with me here. Does it look kind of villainous, perhaps, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, she started at Def Jam. She was working in New York at other companies, got her job at Def Jam, and then the only person that she could take assignments from was Russell himself, and she kind of had to run around and make that happen. And she said that he would always say really inappropriate things to her and then profusely apologize, be oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that, I'm such an idiot, blah 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 blah. And that was kind of the cycle of their relationship. They would be working. He would say something stupid and then like profusely apologize. And she just kept going. And essentially what had happened was, after she put together this, like, not a mixtape, but like a record that was made that had songs on it from like a lot of different people, a lot of different really big musicians, and they put it out. I think it's called Show, something like that. Anyway, the name of the record is irrelevant, but she produced it, she put it out, and it went platinum. And around the time, like immediately when it went platinum, Russell works at a hotel. It's like anytime I've ever run into Russell, it was like at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills or like somewhere like that. Like he runs around hotels a bunch. That's kind of his jam. That she had to go to the Bowery because he used to work out of the Bowery a lot in New York, and they needed like 15 minutes of his time to like get like a very short list of things accomplished, answers, yes or no, or, you know, we need to respond to this, or blah, 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 blah. Does that, leaves after he leaves, and then as she's walking down the street to go to the ATM machine to get money to take a cab home, he's standing across the street, and he's like, oh, hey, like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm just gonna go get cash to get a cab. And he's like, you have a platinum record, like, you should take a car home, you don't need to take a cab. And she was like, okay. And then he's like, oh, let me call you a car. So he gets on the phone, even though he was kind of on the phone to begin with, and calls for a car, i.e. calls his assistant to call for a car, to come pick her up. And he was like, oh, come upstairs and wait, you know, I want to give you the CD. And she was really excited to get this other CD to like listen to, you know, whoever was on it. Goes up to his house and he's like, oh, it's in the CD player. While he's going to the bathroom, like, just go fish it out of there. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna go get the CD and like go down to my car and like bounce, basically. So she's fiddling with the CD player, and he comes out of the bathroom naked and then allegedly rapes her. She stayed at Def Jam for like a little while, then left, went to go work with Clive Davis, and then went to go work for L.A. Reid. So in that, and she had problems with L.A. Reid too, but not, she didn't say that he raped her, but that they had issues between each other. Anyway, it was a really interesting story, and what perked my ears up about it is, if you'll remember a while ago, I did the episode on Brett Ratner where Russell Simmons is mentioned because of their kind of like intermingling allegations, I guess you could say. So if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to that at some point, and it'll help this whole situation make sense. But it talks about like getting people up to their apartment, and, you know, assault ensues, basically. So with that being said, I'm a huge fan of Kimora Lee Simmons, and I have been for a long time. So I've read her books. I own her books. I love Kimora Lee Simmons. Love. And in Kimora's books, it talks about like how her relationship with Russell started, and like how he was always into models, and what happened with Fat Farm, and all of this situation. So I'm kind of wondering why, like, I know why Kimora hasn't said anything. Of course she's not going to say anything, but, oh, it's Roger Neal. Hello, Roger Neal. Thanks for coming by. I don't think Kimora is going to say anything, but I can't be the only person that's put two and two together on what Kimora had to say in her books about how Russell operates, and then like these allegations coming out. There's no way. I'm the only person? That's crazy to me. So if I don't even know where, I wish I had my Kimora book out. It's not like in my rack. Like, these are all reference books basically, but in her book Fabulosity, what it is and how to get it, there's like chapters on how Russell operates, and how he would call her on Fridays, be like, oh, let's go to the Hamptons, blah 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 blah, and she's like, no, that means I'm a last minute decision. I'm gonna wait until when you call me on Wednesday and make plans, then I will go to the Hamptons with you, and like things like that. But she talked a lot about like his relationship with like Deepak Chopra and like all this situation, but Kimura laid some really serious groundwork in those books to like, as I don't want to say as a foundation, but as a prequel to these events that have ensued and he's being accused of now. And I will say, go, if you're really that interested in seeing what's up with Russell Simmons, go look at it. Also, so that's the before stuff. Apparently, since his allegations had came out of like back when Brett Ratner's story broke, he has sold a bunch of his properties. He sold his place in New York. He sold his place in LA. Apparently, he's expanding internationally and is working on his like spiritualism. But there's a Curbed LA has an article about him selling his house here and like how he just basically dumped it. It was like, just give it to somebody. But I think it's kind of interesting how he's like, let me get rid of all my assets and bounce. And let me see what Roger Neal says. Yes, sure. It's kind of interesting how he's dumping assets and dumping houses in the US and be like, I'm going to go abroad and do more yoga and things of that nature. Like, that's kind of suspect to me. And this conversation with this woman that did the BuzzFeed video, like, she's an executive. Her mother was the mayor of DC. I think she graduated from Stanford. She's not I don't want to say this, but I have to. She's not your sort of like stereotypical person that would come out with allegations against somebody who's, a big deal. And I'm really curious to see like how this is going to work out for her. And Russell too, because a lot of times it's easy to be like, oh, well, that person was just on the come up and they were looking for fame or whatever. And like, this lady's not. She's an executive. Like, she's long left music. Like, she's done. She said that her time with L.A. Reid just put her off the music industry completely. And she like went back to business school and was like, never mind with music, didn't care that she had put out platinum records or any of that. Like, she just left it and was like, never mind. And I think a lot of people do. Like, I think a lot of people just say, screw it. I can go work in finance or something really cut and dry with a very serious HR department. Let me take a second and share the broadcast. We want folks to come hang out with us. I think we do anyway. We want folks to come on and hang out with us, don't we? Of course we do. Share on my timeline. There we go. It has been shared. Anyway. So I wonder what this means for Brett Ratner, because they're kind of like intertwined. And I'm really curious to see how this is going to A, work out for Russell, and B, like, L.A. Reid got implicated in this too. But L.A. Reid has other people in his corner, like Justin Bieber and Usher, and I mean, he's L.A. Reid, like tons and tons and tons and tons of huge music people. But another thing that I wanted to talk about regarding the story is that it's not just entertainment that this happens to. Like, it's not just, glamorous, things or places or whatever. This happens everywhere. Like, people getting things held over their like heads for their job happens everywhere. It happens to ladies who work in sweatshops in Bangladesh that have to trade sexual favors for sewing contracts so they can make 25 cents an hour. It happens to them, and it happens to, you know, the Lady Gagas and the Keshas of the world. Like, it's literally from A to Z. Like, I think, but that's like the entire basis of the Me Too movement, is that one person said something and everyone's like, yeah, me too. It's literally happened to everyone. Like, there's nobody, I don't know anybody without a story, unfortunately, or I don't think I do. And I don't think I've had one regarding work, I don't think, but I mean, I guess kind of, but those guys were just like, they were nobodies and they had nothing to offer in any way, shape, or form, and they were just literally like trying their luck to be like, oh well, I'll get you a meeting with this agent. It's like, man, just take your busted dick someplace else. If nobody else wants it, I certainly don't want it. Like, take it someplace else. But this, oh gosh, but entertainment in general, like, is really, you know, more my specialty. Like, I can't really, you know, speak about ladies that work in some other industry in middle America because A, I don't know them, and B, I've never worked in any other business basically. So it's not I don't want to say it's not my place to speak about it, but like I don't have any connection to it. So I'm not the best person to speak about it. But what are we supposed to do? Everybody keeps asking me that. I've been doing like a ton of interviews lately. I went on my friend's show yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. My friend Nicoletta has a show called Sluts and Scholars, and it's on Vivid Radio on Sirius XM. Yeah. And it's like the only educational radio show that Vivid has, because she's a sex therapist. And we were taking callers yesterday, and we had people call about all types of stuff. But a lot of, like, one of the main questions I get asked is like, where's Me Too going? Where's Me Too going? Where's Me Too going? I'm like, it's paving the way for new people, A, because we're ditching some old folks that have been around for a long time, and their reign of terror has to come to an end. So I think it's in a good place for new people. But at the same time, though, like, we just have to see how this plays out. Like, I'm along for the ride, just like everybody else. And every week, this show is so easy to do, because other than being like crazy tired, and it's kind of a strange time of the week to do it, like, I can't swing a cat without some new story breaking in the news. And, you know, having some new experience on set or in a meeting or something like that, and people talking, people whispering, whatever. Speaking of which, TJ Miller called the other day. Apparently he's doing a little bit better, trying not to, they're still staying in New York, and they're, you know, trying to lay low, basically. Who else have I talked to recently? I think TJ was the big one for the most part. Anyway, I have to see how this plays out as well. But part of that is next month, September, October. Yes, next month. So next month, I'm going to be at the Austin Film Festival, and my publicist Elizabeth and I are working on putting together the 50th episode of No Filter Friday together as a live, it's always live, obviously, but like a live stage show, but in front of an audience at the Austin Film Festival on October 26th. So we're working on that. We're gonna see if we can make it like a really big special celebration for the 50th episode. And I have to be at the Austin Film Festival anyway, but the reason why it's so serendipitous is because before Me Too like really broke and got its legs and started running away, and it's on the runaway freight train that it is now, there was like little rumblings before it happened, and one of those little rumblings was the Alamo Drafthouse in Austin was having some sort of, creeper issue with the guy that worked there and worked in the festival scene, and the ladies in the Austin film community were like, he's got to go, you've got to get rid of him, and they did. They managed to oust him, but that was before Me Too happened. So I really wonder how Austin feels about their place in paving the way for Me Too, and if they feel like it worked out or what has happened to them. So I really want to make that 50th episode in Austin about Austin and about not even the birth of hashtag Me Too, but like the inception, I guess, or the conception of it, the very, very, very first little cell that multiplied and multiplied and multiplied into the full embodiment that we see now. So stay tuned for that, because I'm super, super excited about it. You should be too. And I've never done this show in front of like an audience. It's just been either the podcast, which you podcast listeners hear after the fact, or live from the Public House Media page. And as much as fun as it is to watch it from, or to do it live from the Facebook page, doing it with a guest and B, in front of an audience, and I think there's going to be even more questions and even more back and forth, which I think is super, super, super fun. That was my goal for this show since I decided that I wanted to do it and put it together with Public House Media. That's the reason why I chose to do it live, is because it is a group discussion. It is a team sport at this point. So thanks for coming to join me for No Filter Friday on Public House Media. I'm going to be here drinking my snarky tea, because that's what life is about, being in my robe, doing the things. And I will see you all next week. And I've already posted I've already shared that BuzzFeed video of the woman who's accusing Russell Simmons. Go watch it. It's really, really, really fascinating. And if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, go look at some things that Kimberly Simmons talked about years ago that completely lay the foundation on which to build this crazy house of cards. Anyway, I will see you next week. Thanks for coming by. Love the podcast listener, folks. If you're a podcast listener on iHeartRadio or iTunes or Google Podcasts or any of those places, give not only No Filter Friday a comment or a review or a star or whatever. Check out other shows on the network too. And there's some new ones. Public House Media has some new shows like Crowned and Dangerous, seems to be about pageants, which is really, really, really cute. On top of like Choose to Rise, old favorites, things like that. And I will see you guys next week. See you later. Bye, 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 bye. Bye.